Jaya Gaura Hare.
Welcome to another episode of TwoMuchWise.
This is the Gita Expedition series where we explore the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse and chapter by chapter.
All that we discuss here is what we've heard from perfected teachers and spiritualists from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. None of this is our own analysis.
If you're here for the first time, then we recommend that you watch the warm-up series of the Bhagavad Gita where we introduce some concepts of the Gita for the first time.
This episode is better heard than watched. You can hear it while taking a walk, while driving, cooking, or even walking out.
We've had a lot of fun recording this, and we hope that it's an enriching experience for all of you as well. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Reading
Krishna.
from chapter 1, text 39 to 43. We'll read text 39 and 40 in Sanskrit, and then we will read the translations from 39 to 43 in English. Kulakshaya pranashyami kula dharma sanatana dharmanashte kulam krishnam adharmo abhibhavati yuta adharma abhibhavat krishna pradishanti kulastriya Strishtu durashta suvarnasya jayate varna shankara. Translations. Arjun is talking to Krishna. With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted. And from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell.
Hare Krishna. So Arjun continues his presentation of the reasons that why he should not be fighting the war, and this see everybody knows that war is not a good thing. It's not good for society, it's not good for economy. It's basically a bad thing. Arjun is saying that, but on a very high level. He is pointing out something that we'll get to know in this episode, which is quite bizarre, quite out there. And as we heard right now, he's talking about women, he was talking about unwanted progeny, degradation of society, all as a consequence of this war. And we'll get to hear that. But yeah, that's where we are heading and discussing in this particular episode.
It's true, it's bizarre at the outset, it's like war,
Yeah,
where is women and uh, womanhood and progeny and family and elders of the family and community projects. What's happening? But
yeah,
if you hear it from a guide, from a teacher, which we did, then we get to know about the vision of Arjun.
yeah,
Where, like, what is he thinking? He's thinking generations ahead. He's not
yeah,
thinking about the destruction from the war right now. He's not thinking about the loss of property. He's not thinking about food shortage. He's not thinking about chaos and uproar in the community. He's thinking about generations to come. Look at his vision, and he's giving that
yeah,
uh, vision as a reason for not fighting the war.
yeah. And it's pretty cool, because the reason that you have mentioned, because that's usually what we see, right? Like food shortage and destruction of property and this and that. But that's usually what did not take place as a consequence of war at that time, because wars were also, as we had already discussed in the beginning, in the first shloka itself, that wars were also fought a little ethically, a little morally, moral wars. That's what the wars were fought with some terms of engagement, and they were not inhumane. Yeah, it was a trial of arms, but they were not they did not usually end in atrocities on innocent people or civilians per se. UN, whatever it says now, that human rights and all of that, and civilians should not be harmed and all of that, whatever the ideals that are supposed to be followed but are not, were being followed back then. So that's the reason why he's not citing any of those. That's not what he's citing. He's citing something, as you said, a visionary excuse. It's a visionary excuse.
Visionary
Yeah.
excuse. That's an oxymoron. Let's go one by one, Prabhu, because these are like heavy shlokas, and they're shlokas that are maybe tough to understand in today's day and age.
Yeah.
Nobody's really talking about religion or progeny, culture. So
Mhm.
let's go one by one. Let's start with 39. Let's break it down. She's saying, with the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in religion. First question is destruction of dynasty. What does that mean? Like, how is
Yeah.
Mahabharat going to lead to destruction of dynasty?
So I think how we break it down is, first we see who's on the battlefield and who's
Uh-huh.
not on the battlefield.
Okay.
Who's on the battlefield? All the administrators, all the protectors, the people who are supposed to be protecting the society from harm. They're on the battlefield, right? And the people who are not on the battlefield are those who are supposed to be protected. The protected are not on the war, they're sitting
Mm-hmm.
in the homes, and the people who are supposed to be protecting the protectors on both sides are on the battlefield. And we everybody just expects it, that there's going to be annihilation, definitely annihilation on this battlefield. Everybody's going to die. There's going to be very little of what's on the battlefield. Very less of them are going to survive this. So that means the protectors are going to be vanquished. So who's not? There's one more faction which is not on the battlefield. The protectors are not on the are on the battlefield. The protectees are not on the battlefield. But there is one more faction: the people whom against whom the protectors protect the protectees. These are thieves and looters, and the those people call them some kind of elements, the
Mm-hmm.
unwanted elements in society, right? They are the ones basically that are also there. So with the protectors gone, the protectees are vulnerable from attacks or from advances by these antisocial elements,
Okay.
if you want to call them that,
Okay.
that are still out there. And that is one angle that Arjun is bringing about,
Okay.
that that is the danger. Dynasties will fall, if you want to talk about dynasties, because when there'll be a lot of widows from this war, there'll be a lot of women without any children left, because lineages will be stopped, because sons or males, usually mostly males, are what are on the battlefield, they'll be killed. Hence there'll be nobody to take the lineages forward. That is the whole idea
Okay.
of
So
dynasties when he brings it about.
there'll be no noble men to take the lineage forward, but there'll be
Correct,
antisocial
correct,
elements who will take the lineage forward
correct.
by exploiting those who need protection but they don't have protection
Right.
because all the protectors have died. So all the
Yes,
women, all the
yes.
children are at risk, which is
Yeah,
actually what we often see after war as well. War crimes,
yeah,
right? This is
yeah. War crimes.
all the governance, all the army of the side which has lost the war gets devastated, and then the
Yeah,
society in general, composing of the weaker elements who didn't fight the war, are vulnerable. So that's going to happen.
yeah,
Now there is also mention of everybody getting involved in irreligion. What I want to
yeah.
point out here, before we actually move ahead, read through the other shlokas, is just a reminder that Mahabharat is during Dwapar Yug, the end of Dwapar Yug, the Vedic
Yeah.
times. During Vedic times, as we've discussed in the previous episodes, there was no difference between religion and law. Religion was law, law was religion. So, irreligion basically means illegal.
Legal.
Irreligion here is synonymous to people who disregard the law. So irreligious
Correct.
people are people who will disregard the law. So as you mentioned, there'll be people who will going to disregard the law. Those people are going to dominate,
Mm.
and as they exploit those who don't have protection, the entire society in general will become lawless, will become
Correct.
irreligious.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting. He's bringing this point up in the previous list of excuses that he was talking about. They were more centered just on him, right?
Yeah,
Compassion.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
these are my people. How can I kill them? Sin. Like if I kill them, I will incur a lot of sin, and then I'll have to get entangled, and I'll have to go through a lot of different things because of those sins. And then he said, enjoyment. How will I? Even if I win, even if I kill all these, how will I even? What will I get out of it? How will I enjoy the
yeah.
wins of this war? But then now he's bringing about another, like at least one. I should talk about others also. No,
His more benevolent side. He's bringing out
yeah,
his.
benevolent side is coming out in society ka to soch, just think about the society. What will
Yeah,
happen if I actually fight this war? um you know Here we can almost see as if Arjun's bringing about these excuses right on the spot. He's just
yeah,
spitballing. Aisa bhi ho jayega to this will also happen, that will also happen. But even his spitballing, even his on the spot excuses are quite visionary,
yeah,
if you
yeah,
can call them that. Because we have to understand that Arjun is Arjun. He has high caliber.
yeah,
he's he's not an uneducated man. He is highly educated in shastras, in scripture and vedas. So even in his excuses, the basis of his excuses are still the shastra. It's just that they're contorted. They have been twisted to serve his own purpose, or serve his own will of or
yeah.
unwillingness of to fight in this war, to
This makes
participate
me
in this
think
war.
that when the sharper men in the society, when the leaders of the society, when they do something wrong, they
Yeah.
do it with so much intellect that it comes across
Correct.
as right.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
actually more dangerous, right?
It's more dangerous. Yeah.
Because they can lead to more delusion. They can fool themselves and the
Yeah.
society better. So
Really wrong precedent. Like if a foolish man does something wrong, it is very evident that
yeah,
okay, it is wrong. There's no excuse for it. People might not follow. Like they won't set it. It won't be cited as an example. But when great men, educated men, do something, and with all of this intelligent, they're validating their
yeah,
acts,
yeah,
then it gets really tricky. Because something when repeated again and again, which is wrong, but
and
but
validated
which is accepted
and
as right.
validated by intelligent arguments.
Yeah, it really it gets embedded into culture and then eventually becomes tradition.
Yeah, that is what is happening today. So many examples.
Yeah.
Any if
Yeah.
we go into that example, maybe we'll start spitballing. So I'm going to move ahead and uh, let's talk
Yeah.
about shloka 40 now. Another
Yeah.
very interesting, very bizarre statement by Arjun, where he's
Yeah.
saying when there is irreligion or when there is a lot of lawlessness, then women get polluted, and
Yeah.
because of degradation of womanhood, unwanted progeny comes. Very bizarre. If
Yeah.
there are any uh, gender equality proponents here, then you may be offended by what Arjun is saying.
Yeah.
But there is a meaning to it which will not offend you.
Correct.
You got to hear it
Yeah.
out. So your thoughts first, Prabhu. Why is he saying this? Uh, Womanhood progeny.
He's I mean, it's not that it only applied to the times of yore and doesn't apply anymore. Because even now, yeah, obviously both parents have equal responsibility of bringing up a child and giving the child the values and learnings. But equal but different. Equal means they
Hmm.
have equal weightage, but they have different effects on the child. Even the scriptures call this validated, that the child's first guru is the mother. So if that person is disturbed, that person's life is disturbed, the mothers of the society are disturbed, then the upbringing of the whole generation, whole of the next generation is disturbed. And
Yeah,
that is problematic. That is what Arjun is
yeah,
basically pointing out to.
yeah. Absolutely. Actually, Arjun, in a way, is really showing and focusing, bringing out the importance of women in the Vedic system. Over here,
Yeah,
he could have just written that when a religion is prominent, then family becomes polluted, and because of a polluted family, unwanted progeny comes. He's not writing that.
correct.
He's actually focusing on women to say that progeny,
Yeah,
the coming of progeny and the raising of progeny is actually the woman's domain, and the woman really influences that. As you said,
yeah,
uh, she is the main contributor here. So
yeah.
that's what he's saying. That while the men are fighting the war, it's going
Mm,
to impact the women, because women won't have anybody to protect them, because of which they
correct.
will also naturally become unlawful. And then as women get polluted, the generations to come will get polluted, and then the
Yeah,
dynasty which right now exists in the way it does will cease to exist, and there'll be a different dynasty, an unlawful dynasty, which is going to come because of
yeah,
unlawful values being transferred from unlawful women to
yeah.
children.
In a way, in a way he's almost justifying the his act of not wanting to fight the war, saying that if I don't fight the war, I'm actually protecting the society, which as a kshatriya is supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
Protect
yeah.
dharma, protect society. He's saying by not fighting, by fighting actually the society will go to hell, and I'm not protecting society. Oh, no, no, I can't do this. Like, he's just trying to
Yeah,
play that card
yeah.
pretty smart there.
Oh
Yeah,
wow, yeah. So
yeah.
so
Another
first
thing.
episode we said
Yeah,
wars are fought for dharma, and Arjun is saying I'm not
yeah.
going to fight the war because of dharma.
Is going to lead to this. Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead,
yeah.
Prabhu.
Another point that we should remember, progeny is another word that we talked about, and women getting polluted is another word that being used here. So we should remember that these are times when contraceptive methods and abortions, etc., were not really taken up favorably. And you get a partner, and you get into a wedlock, and then you produce children, and you raise them to be good citizens and good human beings. That was the whole system that people were trying at that time, with mixed results even in the times of Dwapar, because this is end of Dwapar. You can see that Duryodhan is there, and then the whole of the other side is there, which is quite much in the gray area. But there at least some of the parents were trying, and then there is some scope, because at least till wedlock and producing a child, things were going okay. But what Arjun is pointing out here is that the whole system will break down. Why? Because people who are exploitative elements of society, when there are no protectors, will 100% definitely exploit the vulnerable situation of these women. And like, they will produce forcefully, while violating them, they will produce children through these women. And the scriptures are very clear that the consciousness in which a child is conceived really determines the kind of mentality by which the child will basically get raised, or the child will what the child will become. So that is another point that Arjun is bringing up at this point.
Yeah, yeah. So there's going to be exploitation of women, and then the progeny that comes,
Yeah,
men or women, they will have less values. So then the next set of women, again with lesser values, are going to have children who are going to be given again lower values, and it'll go on and on and on like that. uh,
question
but
arises,
it'll
Prabhu.
start with, yeah.
Question arises. How are children getting conceived right now? Are they getting conceived in the right consciousness, or are they just getting conceived, as an act of passion, just like that? How are they getting conceived, and is that having an effect on society? Because Prabhupada mentions again and again that it's not. the act of conceiving a child is a pure one, and it shouldn't be animalistic in nature. It shouldn't be based on whims and fancies of the mind and the senses. In fact, it should be almost a sanctified act, an act of service. In fact, that's what Prabhupada mentions.
Yeah, this is uh, this is difficult to understand without appreciating the values of spirituality as
Yeah.
a foundational fabric of the society.
Mm.
Because if there is no spirituality, then everything is for my enjoyment, everything is for my
Yeah.
good. So there is no mention or thought of service. But when
Correct.
the fabric of the society is ornamented with spirituality, with spiritual values, then even the act of conceiving a child is an act of service. It's a gift to the society.
Yeah.
So you prepare your
Yeah.
consciousness while conceiving in such a way, in such a prayerful mood, that you request for a child to come and benefit the entire society, and not, you don't do
People
this for
say,
your own enjoyment.
people accept this also. It's prenatal care and all of that, that what you eat, how you keep your own body, the mother's body especially, what surroundings you keep it in, what you consume, what you inhale, what you watch, what you hear, all of that, all of it really affects the consciousness and the body, the formative,
Yeah.
internally formative years of the baby. We Everybody accept this even now, right? So if that is the case, just imagine where it all starts. That very act, will the consciousness in which that act is being done, being performed, will that not have an effect on the body of the child, on the
Wow.
mind of the child, on the
Yeah.
consciousness of the child?
Yeah. Yep. A lot of food for thought.
Yeah.
Then uh, but yeah, of course, it will only start when you're spiritually sensitive.
Correct.
When you allow yourself to evolve spiritually, then you start to appreciate these thoughts. You start to appreciate these actions. You do the same act. Basically, you're doing the same act of conception, but you're doing it
Yeah.
with a very different purpose, with a higher purpose, with an evolved purpose in a higher consciousness.
Yeah, it just comes down to the same thing, Prabhu. Arjun was a fighter before the Gita was spoken. Arjun was a fighter after also. It's just his consciousness in which he was
Yeah.
doing the act changed.
Yeah.
That applies to just expand that to everything else, including sex.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so we're running out of time. We'll quickly take up 41 to 43, Prabhu. Uh,
Yeah.
41 to 43, similar, they're talking about a similar narrative. Uh, he's saying first in 41, Arjun is saying that when there is unlawful or uncultured or children with lesser values, then such a population leads to not only destruction of the present, uh, doesn't only lead to destruction of the population geographically, culturally present, but also to destruction of forefathers. And then he's talking about forefathers,
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
offering to forefathers stops,
Yes.
because of which the forefathers suffer and the current generation also suffers.
Yeah.
Offering to forefathers is basically known as Shraad today, right? We call it
Yeah.
Shraad
All
in
of us
many
must
Indian
must have
homes.
at least heard about this. At least heard about
Heard of Shraad.
the Shraddha
Yeah.
ceremony that people do
So,
during uh, what is it called, Prabhu? I don't. The month, there's a month dedicated for it. There's a word
yeah,
dedicated,
yeah,
which, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. I'm
Pitru
also
Paksha. It's called Pitru
missing it
Paksha.
now. Yeah, yeah, Pitru Paksha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look at, so just pause and see. Arjun is standing on the battlefield talking to Arjuna, to Krishna right before the war, and he's like, "Shraad kaun karega?" That's
Yeah.
like my mother
Like,
telling me, "Beta,
Shraddh
Pitru
karne wala
Paksha ke
koi hai
Shraad
hi nahi.
karna."
There's
Like
nobody. There's
what?
nobody to Shraddh. What happened to the forefathers?
Again,
Yeah.
remember that religion is law, religion is morality
Yeah.
during Arjun's time. So it's very important. Shraad is a very important aspect. uh, and what is Shraad? So simply put, if you don't know what is Shraad, very simply put, Shraad is a way to ensure that souls from your family, forefathers from your family who have departed from this world may be in a bad position elsewhere in another body. So through Shraad, you ensure that they're taken care of. The soul is taken care of. In Shraad,
Yeah.
you offer the water and food to the Lord first. It gets sanctified, and then through a spiritual mechanism, you offer it to those souls. And if they're suffering somewhere, then through this,
Yeah.
the soul gets purified.
Everything in nature is telling us that everything is cyclic, Prabhu. Seasons come and go, days and nights into days, and days again into nights. Everything in this world is cyclic, and there's the water cycle. You get a body from the five material elements, then you die, and then it goes back to the five material elements. We breathe out carbon dioxide, breathe in oxygen. The trees are there to breathe in carbon dioxide and give us oxygen. Everything is so symbiotic in nature. These are just
You're
clues.
talking like Arjun.
And
You're going to connect the cyclic nature to Sharad. You're being very Arjun right
yeah,
now.
and this is just like that. Shraad is nothing but it's an act of gratitude. You have the value of a human body is again connected, as you said, to the spiritual fabric of this whole game or called life, right? That we are spirit, soul, and we have got this human body, and in this human body, we get to realize the fact that, oh, I'm a spiritual being. That is an opportunity that is exclusively obtained when you have this human body. It's a gift. So if I have received a human body, I have someone to thank for it, and my parents and the parents of the parents and the parents of the parents. What are their forefathers? I'm
Mhm,
just all I'm doing
mhm,
is
mm.
I have received a human body. Thank you, O forefathers, for whatever you did, and you continued your lineage in which I got to have a human body, and now I can really fulfill the purpose of life. For that, I thank you. It's a yearly thanksgiving, as they say. It's a yearly thanksgiving to my forefathers. That's all that's all that it is. See, all of these acts, which are rituals, which can be food by apparent new generations or whatever, but it's just an act of gratitude. Why shouldn't we be grateful to our forefathers? By being grateful to our forefathers, one, it opens our eyes up, opens our eyes up to the fact that, oh, there is something called the human body that you get. It's a gift, it's an opportunity. Second, it opens our eyes up to something called, oh, they are not just dead and gone and vanished, and they're not stars. They're living somewhere else, and I can still do something for them. I don't
Mhm.
have to just stand in front of the pictures and just do some kind of garlanding. I can actually do practical service to them in this year. I have that opportunity, I have that platform. So all these rituals open your eyes up to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
In all festivals, all rituals, all of these things, when done in the correct manner, correct guidance, they just open our eyes up to this bigger picture, that we're not this body with a soul, and everybody's interconnected in some way. I have to be grateful to nature. I have to be grateful to my forefathers. I have to be grateful to my teachers. And in all of this gratitude, there's a lot of debt on me. There's a lot of debt. I'm being carried by a lot of debt, and by giving back something, I'm just accepting the fact that, acknowledging the fact that, a lot of mercy carries me. I'm not a big person. A lot of mercy just carries me.
Mhm.
That's all that all these rituals mostly are,
Yeah.
in essence,
Yeah.
for sure.
So again, if we just look at them like rituals, like you said, then we won't be able to appreciate it. But once we get to
Yeah.
know the essence behind it, once we get to know its functionality as well as its mood. So the functionality, you could say, is to make sure that the soul is in a good position, and the mood is that of gratitude. When you have the functionality and the mood, and then you do the ritual, then it's not a ritual anymore. It's
Yeah.
literally an act of love.
Correct. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
About Shraad, Prabhupada
Act of
actually
love
talked.
is a
Yeah,
yeah. Act of love is a great place to basically have the conversation stirred right now. Yeah.
yeah, and actually, so it's if this is for Shraad, which is perhaps still one of the most common rituals in Indian homes, then think about the
Yeah.
lesser common ones. They have
Correct.
mm, they also have a lot of significance. Shraad
Mm.
is has there is some understanding of the mood and functionality. That's why Shraad is still operational. But there are so
Yeah.
many acts of love like these which have been lost because the mood
Yeah.
and its functionality wasn't transferred down properly. And Arjun doesn't
Correct.
want that to happen. Arjun
Yeah.
doesn't want that to
Yeah.
happen.
Doesn't want the
So,
cultural fabric of society to break down.
yeah, spiritual cultural fabric shouldn't break down. That's what he's talking about. Uh, Prabhupada gives us also a peek into what will come ahead in the Bhagavad Gita, where in the purport he
Hmm.
says that although Shraads are important, there is something else which is even higher than Shraads, and by
Yeah.
pursuing that, uh, you will display even more love, and then Shraad
Yeah.
will be encompassed. It'll already get included in that higher act of love, which is Bhakti
Yeah.
Yoga, and
Correct.
we'll talk more about it as we read the Bhagavad Gita. Any closing thoughts, Prabhu?
Yes. Closing thoughts. That Arjun brings about a lot of points, which we never think of, bringing up, and these are questions that we should be having, but we don't. And thank you, Arjun. Arjun Prabhu ki jai, that he's bringing up all these points for us on behalf of us, and now we get the opportunity to hear the answers and open up the whole, new vista of just getting a peek into the world of spirituality, a peek into the world of bhakti yoga, just because he asked some questions about fighting or not fighting.
Yeah, Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you like this, please do share with your friends who may also like it. Thanks, Prabhu, for a very thought
Thank you
provoking
so much.
discussion. See you in the next
Thank you
one.
too.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Jaya Gaura